So good morning students. In the last class we were talking about the introduction part of the respiration. Okay. So now we will talk about some more about the respiration. So in this class we will talk about the structural organization of lungs and other respiratory structures. Okay. So here what is the topic? Structural organization of lungs. Lungs and other respiratory structures. Lungs and other respiratory structures. This is the next topic we have to study about all the structures of the lungs. Here, lungs are meant for the pulmonary respiration. Okay. So here we have to talk. Lungs are well developed or well developed present, well modified present in whom? In the human beings. How the respiration is going to take place from the environment to the body parts means first of all, here a human respiratory system, it consists of a pair of external nostrils. Here I will show you. It consists of a pair of nostrils. The openings at the lower end of the nose, to which we can call it as the nostrils. Okay. So these external nostrils opening out the upper lip. Okay, at the lower end of the nose. It leads to the nasal chamber through the nasal passage. Here we see it leads to what? Leads to the nasal chamber. What is this? This is the nasal chamber. Okay, and whatever the passage from the nostril, this passage we can call it as the nasal passage. Okay, nasal passage. The next thing here, the nasal chamber opens into the nasopharynx. The region which is opening into the next part, this region we can call it as the nasopharynx. Listen here carefully. Once again I will tell you. Opening on the nose. For what reason? So that this is the external environment. For example, that is the air. In air, there is a presence of free oxygen. So this oxygen is going to inhaled by whom? By the human beings or the animals. Okay. Through what? Through this nasal opening, through which we are calling it as the nostrils. That nostril passes the air or oxygen through the nasal passage into the nasal chamber. Otherwise, these nostrils are going to open into a chamber inside the nose, that it is a nasal chamber. This nasal chamber opens into a pharynx. That pharynx we can call it as the nasopharynx. Okay. So nasopharynx, this is a portion of pharynx. Okay. What it is? Nasopharynx. This is actually what it is. It is a portion of pharynx. What it is? It is a portion of pharynx. So this pharynx, this is the common passage. This one. See, from here to here there will be presence of mouth. Okay. So mouth, this also going to open into a common passage like this. From the mouth, the food is going to enter into a pharynx. From the nose, the air is going to enter into the pharynx. whatever the passage coming from the nasal chamber, to that we can call it as the nasopharynx. So that this pharynx, this region we can call it as the pharynx. So this pharynx is the common passage for food and air. Okay, see here common passage for food and air. The next nasopharynx opens through glottis of the larynx region into the trachea. Here, after this, there is a presence of a glottis. This is the glottis region. Okay, glottis, this which is located, this region, we can call it as the larynx. Larynx, or which is also known as the sound box. What it is also known as? Sound box. Here, pharynx is opening into the glottis. Okay, then that glottis is located in the larynx. Larynx means that it is a sound box. Okay, see here. Next, this glottis will open into a trachea. Where? Into the trachea. Here there is the presence of a cartilaginous rings. These are what? These are the cartilaginous rings to which we can call it as the trachea. What it is? That it is the trachea. Okay. So larynx is the cartilaginous box which helps in the sound production. So that is the reason we are calling it as the sound box. Okay. So during swallowing the food, here the glottis, one more tube will be there, which is going to, this one for just imaginary, I will draw here. This is the esophagus. What it is? This tube is the esophagus or food pipe. So here this food pipe is going to close by a flap of muscle, and that flap of muscle we can call it as the epiglottis. So this epiglottis allows the air to enter into the trachea. It will close while you are swallowing the food. Epiglottis is going to close by the flap. Okay, it is going to close. Then here the air is going to pass. If it is closed means then it is going to pass into what? Into the trachea. What is trachea over here? Trachea is a rings of trachea. It is a ring of cartilage. Rings of cartilage are arranged to form a tubular structure, that we can call it as the trachea. So here trachea is a straight tube. You can see here trachea, which is a straight tube, straight tube which extends up to the mid-thoracic cavity. Up to the mid-thoracic cavity. That means in the chest region. Mid-thoracic cavity. Only at the middle part it is going to extend. How means? I will show you here. You see here how the trachea will be. First of all, this is the epiglottis. This part is the epiglottis, which prevents the entry of food into the trachea. Okay, which is allowing only the food to enter into the esophagus, not in the trachea. Okay. The next here it is located in the larynx region, which we can call it as the sound box. This is the larynx. This is also made up of what? Cartilage. Larynx. Then here it extends into a tube-like structure, to which we can call, like this it is, will be in this sense. This is the epiglottis. This is the larynx, which is also known as the sound box. These particular rings of cartilage, which extend from the larynx till the mid-thoracic cavity or the chest region till the mid-region, this is known as the trachea. Okay, so trachea, which is made up of rings of cartilage, straight tube which extends up to the mid-thoracic cavity. Okay, so which divides at the level of fifth thoracic vertebrae. If we see dorsally at the fifth thoracic vertebrae, here you see this trachea divides at fifth thoracic vertebrae. Not ventrally. If you see dorsally from the dorsal side, okay, you can say it is going to divide at what? At the fifth vertebral column or vertebrae. Okay, into what? Into the left and the right pulmonary bronchi. So this we can call it as this is the right bronchi and this is the left bronchi. Okay, so this part at the fifth thoracic vertebrae, it is going to divide into what? Right bronchi and left bronchi. So this bronchi, this each and this bronchi, we can call it as the primary bronchi. Okay, primary left and primary right bronchi. The next part, each bronchi undergoes repeated division. Okay, each bronchi undergoes repeated division to form the secondary and tertiary bronchi. How means? This will undergo into the division. So this first is the secondary division. Okay, then again it will undergo into the further division, that we can call it as the tertiary bronchi. Here you see, this is the secondary bronchi, and again it is undergoing into a division, to which we can call it as the like this it is. in this way. Okay, so this is the primary bronchi, this is the secondary bronchi, and this is the tertiary bronchi. Okay, this one bronchi will further divide repeatedly to form secondary bronchi and tertiary bronchi. And then lastly, that is the bronchioles. What it is? Lastly, it is going to end up into what? Into the bronchioles. These are what? These are all the bronchioles. This first primary bronchi is going to form, then secondary bronchi, then tertiary bronchi, then finally that it is the bronchioles. Okay, so these bronchioles ending up into a very thin terminal bronchioles. The trachea, primary bronchi, secondary bronchi, tertiary bronchi, and bronchioles are supported by incomplete cartilaginous rings. So each terminal bronchi will give rise to a number of very thin irregular walled and vascularized bag-like structures called alveoli. So here, this terminal bronchioles will give rise to a number of very thin sac-like or sac-like vascularized bag. Here you see many number of, this one I will draw here, many number of, like this it will be, like this. Okay, here each bronchiole will give rise to, here I will write in sentence, see here, each terminal bronchiole, each terminal bronchioles, because many bronchioles are there. Each terminal bronchioles will give rise to a number of very thin, very thin irregular walled vascularized bag-like structures, and it is known as the alveoli. What is that bag or sac-like structures? That it is the alveoli. Here you see each terminal bronchiole, primary bronchi will divide into, or it will undergo into a repeated division to form a secondary bronchi, then to a tertiary bronchi. Then this tertiary bronchi will give rise to a many number, means many number you can see here like this. Many number of alveoli. What are these alveoli now? These are the very delicate structures which is made up of thin walled. Will give rise to a number of very thin walled. Okay, thin as well as irregular walled, vascularized bag-like structure, to which we can call it as the alveoli. Okay. Next, we will see about, see this all things, this structure which is present here I had showed in the left lung. Okay, here same structures will be present in the right lung also. So next we will see about the structure of the lungs. Till now we had studied what is the internal structure of the lungs. So see here. See each lung. First of all, lung in human are in 2 in number. How many number are there? 2 in number. So what is that? This is the left lung. This is the left lung, and here this side it is the right lung. So lungs are present in pair, that is in left as well as in right. So see here, this is the left lung, and further each lung is divided into lobes. Here I will show you. These are the 2 lungs. Okay, it is further divided into what? Into the lobes. So here the right lung, this is the right lung, and this is the left lung. The right lung is divided into 3 lobes or 3 compartment like structures. Here you see in this way 1 and in this way 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Which lung? That is the right lung. These are a right lung consists of, or it is made up of what? 3 lobes. While left lung is made up of only 2 lobes. 1 and 2 lobes will be there. Into what? Into the left lung. The next point here, this particular lobes, they had name, given the certain names. What are that names means? It is superior, middle and inferior lobe. See here, this is the superior lobe, this is the middle lobe, and this is the inferior lobe. Okay, in the right lung. What about the left lung? Means that is only superior and inferior. There is no middle lobe. Superior and one more, that it is inferior. Okay, superior and inferior lobe. So here altogether this lungs, there is a presence of thin membranous layers. What it is? There is a presence of thin membranous layer over the lungs, and these thin membranous layers are known as the pleura. This is a thin membranous layer which is known as the pleura. What is known as? It is known as the pleura. Here the pleura is going to cover the lungs. Okay, it provides a protection from what? From the mechanical friction or from the foreign bodies. Okay, so these thin membranous layers we are calling it as the pleura, which is covering the lungs. So the visceral pleura that lines the lungs is separated from the parietal pleura. There are 2 layers. One is visceral pleura and the another is the parietal pleura. Whatever the inner layer is there, to which we can call it as the visceral pleura, and outer layer is there, to which we can call it as the parietal pleura. Okay, this visceral pleura, it is lying towards the inner surface of the lungs, and the parietal pleura, it is lined by the space. That space we can see in between these two pleura, there is the presence of one space, and that space is known as the pleural space. What it is known as? It is known as the pleural space. Okay, so here this pleural space, it is filled with a fluid, and that fluid is known as, see here, it is filled with a fluid, and that fluid is known as the pleural fluid. Okay, what it is known as? It is known as the pleural fluid. Such type of organization helps to distend smoothly during inspiration and expiration. Once again, I will explain you. Altogether, there is a presence in human beings. There is a presence of two lungs. Okay, one is located at the left side, and one is located at the right side. Whatever the right lung is there, which is divided into three lobes. What are that lobes? Superior, middle, and inferior lobe. And here, this left lung is divided only into two lobes. What are that two lobes? It is superior and inferior lobe. Okay, so here, these two lungs are totally covered by what? A thin membranous layer, to which we are calling it as the pleura. Okay, the inner membranous layer, we can call it as the visceral pleura, and the outer layer, we can call it as the parietal pleura. In between these two layers, there is a space which we can call it as the pleural space. Okay, that space is filled with a fluid that we can call it as the pleural fluid. So this pleural fluid, what is the function of this pleural fluid? Means it helps in the protection against the mechanical friction, as well as from the mechanical injuries and from the foreign particles. Okay, so the next here, that it is about the pleural fluid. So the air reaches the lung here. First only I had told you to the nasal chamber, nasopharynx, then into the epiglottis. The air reaches the lungs through the trachea. Okay, then bronchi. This is the bronchi. Then bronchioles. Bronchi is further divided into primary, secondary, and tertiary bronchi. Okay, so the air reaches from the nasal chamber into the epiglottis, then into the trachea, then to the bronchi and bronchioles. Okay, the next thing here, the trachea branches into the two main bronchi, that is the left and the right, what I told, and whatever this nasal chamber, larynx, trachea, bronchi, and bronchioles, to these structures, we can call it as the conducting part of the respiratory system. Okay, what we can call? We can call it as the conducting zone. Okay, alveoli is the respiratory zone. Only alveoli is the respiratory zone, and the other tubular parts which are conveying, transporting the air to the alveoli, that we can call it as the conducting zone. Okay, so there are around how many alveoli in each bronchi? Means there are around these are the alveoli. In each lung, there will be presence of 200 million alveoli. How many? In each lung, 200 million alveoli will be located there. Okay, the walls of alveoli are extremely thin with extensive network of capillaries. So wait a minute. I will show how it is enveloped. minus y in class. So you have 3 plus 4. 8 next is 9 plus. So about the annuli, I will explain in the next class. Okay, thank you.